now to discuss some new legal developments in the case against Tornado Cash developer Alexey Pertsev. Joining us to do so is CoinDesk regulatory reporter Jack Schickler. Jack, how you doing?
Great, thanks.
Fantastic. Thanks for being here. So, Jack, you were at the court in the Netherlands where this latest ruling came down. Paint a picture for us. What was the vibe and what is the latest?
So it was a pretty well-attended court case. There were other journalists there, but there's a lot of public interest in the case, and some members of the Bitcoin community. We're seeing some of the people who were present right after his arrest to protest in Amsterdam, and some of those were also there in the courtroom to show his support. His family, his wife were also there, and other friends. And it was actually the first time, he's been in jail for about 3 months now. It's the first time, remarkably, that we've heard a clear statement of the charges against him. The public prosecutor basically said he was associated with money laundering via his association with the Tornado Cash app, which he developed. And they said, he had facilitated the processing of dirty money by being involved in this crypto app, which was sanctioned by the US back in August, and that he and a couple of other people had exercised effective control, which is basically disputing the idea that it's a decentralized app at all. The immediate outcome of the case was that he's got to stay in jail another 3 months because they still haven't decided, they're still not ready, the prosecution, to have a case, and they reckon he's going to be a flight risk, the idea being that he might flee back to Russia or some other country to escape justice.
So those are two very important points. First of all, the idea that he was involved in money laundering, did they specifically name an incident where he laundered money? And second of all, this idea that it's more centralized than people realize. How are they able to make that claim?
Well, they're still working on the case, which is part of the reason why he can't have his full hearing here and now. And they say they're still looking at some of the data they have available, but they've clearly got access to his phone and some of the chats he's had with other members of the Tornado Cash community, and they say that shows despite the fact that in principle, no one was in charge and no one could control this protocol. They say he was masterminding this along with another couple of people. And they took managerial decisions. They they ran the thing like a company, essentially, and that kind of is a direct denial of the claim that this was out of his hands and therefore he was not responsible. Particular episodes of money laundering, again, they don't yet have that evidence, but they say, oh, look, he drove a nice car, so we don't think he got that from his salary, so it must come from some way from the money that went through the Tornado Cash app.
So, Jack, this case was actually a really big deal. It would be a much bigger deal if we weren't, if the world weren't distracted by, basically a meltdown of the industry. So I guess my question is, from what we know so far, what are the larger ramifications of this case just for crypto in general? Because for a while, people were, okay, like this is going to lead to X regulation or this is going to lead to X response. I mean, what do you sort of see, what do you see as the bigger picture impact of all of this?
Well, there's definitely been a massive impact on the community. For some people, they're like, this guy is an open source developer. He wrote computer code, and now he's been arrested and can't be with his family for Christmas. I mean, it's pretty devastating on a personal level. And it's got lots of people saying, well, will that happen if I write code? Lots of parts of the crypto ecosystem, lots of parts of the internet are built on open source code. Can someone come a couple of years later after you write that code and say, we're holding you responsible for stuff that people have done with that code, malicious actors, applications you never even thought of when you wrote a particular protocol or a particular bit of programming? That's obviously a pretty big deterrent for anyone in this sector, and it's really, really important that the authorities, put to bed exactly what's going on here.